It's Roger. Merry Christmas to all. It's Christmas Eve, and thinking about, things related to Christmas and Christ and all that business. And I was looking into the Gnostic texts. I've been looking at them with Jody for quite some time now. Very, very deep and interesting. Now, what I started to think about was the treasury of light. And Jesus comes down and he talks about the treasury of light. And you see right here, the treasury of light. It says he comes back to the earth. This book is about Pistis Sophia, about when Jesus comes back to earth after being crucified. He comes back down and he discourses with his disciples. He speaks with them openly about every single topic that there is for 11 years. So, he got a lot of stuff out. 11 years of discoursing can bring out a lot of stuff. Now, the main thing is we're going to go to a light realm. All right? If we get out of here alive, we go to the light realm. If you don't, you're going to get all scooped up and you're going to get burnt up. That's the way it works, as far as I can tell. And of course you're going to be in that realm forever in misery. As some people here are on earth right now in the absolute most miserable conditions. So, think of that for eternity. It's not something I'm hoping it happens to me. I can tell you that right now. So I'm taking this quite seriously. But, we all have our own way of looking at things. Now, what I'm going to get into is light. All right, as you know, I've been posting a lot of things about light and how it spins and how it does this and how it's all fills the universe and it's all the particles, and the fact that light can speed up and slow down means that we have no clue whatsoever is going on in the universe. Right now, we have always thought that everything is moving away from us because there is a certain speed they say light goes at. Einstein said he was wrong. It does not go at a certain speed. It slows down and speeds up. That is what is changing the frequency of the light that we receive. Not because it's speeding away from us like a Doppler effect. It is the fact that it's slowing down because it's going through thicker and thinner space. That means that if we're here and light comes from here or here, and if it's coming through thick here and it's coming through thin here, we think they're both coming through the same speed, we are lost. Absolutely no clue where anything is in space at this moment. As far as I'm concerned, you prove me wrong, I'd like to see it. But there's no way, I've shown light accelerated, so there's no question it can accelerate, and there's no question it can slow down. So Hubble was wrong because Einstein was wrong because all of them were wrong. So now let's find out what reality is, and then that leads to the real reality of our eternal existence. Roger, Mufalsa University, into the religious realm, I suppose you'd call it. Well, it's what it is a search for truth. Now, this is a book called Pistis Sophia. It's an ancient text written about Jesus returning to earth after he was crucified. Now, I'm going to play this, and then I have a theory that I believe Jesus is exactly as he was advertised. He was the savior of peace and love and all that business. But he's still totally misunderstood because he never told anybody anything. You can't tell the stories and the truth and have it be accepted in one big lump. I tried. Trust me, it doesn't work. You have to feed them little bits and pieces, and that's what Jesus did. Now listen to this. Here's what he has to say.
Chapter 1. Jesus hitherto instructs his disciples only up to the regions of the first mystery. It came to pass, when Jesus had...
By the way, I'm not intimating that I have anything to do with teaching anybody anything, but you cannot bring forward truth in abundance. It will not be accepted. That was my point.
Risen from the dead, that he passed 11...
All right, let me bring it back here. That was... All right, here goes.
Of the first mystery. It came to pass, when Jesus had risen from the dead, that he passed 11 years discoursing with his disciples, and instructing them only up to the regions of the first commandment, and up to the regions of the first mystery, that within the veil, within the first commandment, which is the 24th mystery without and below, those 24 which are in the second space of the first mystery, which is before all mysteries, the Father in the form of a dove. And Jesus said to his disciples, I am come forth out of that first mystery, which is the last mystery, that is the 24th mystery. And his disciples have not known nor understood that anything exists within that mystery. But they thought of that mystery, that it is the head of the universe and the head of all existence. And they thought it is the completion of all completions. Because Jesus had said to them concerning that mystery, that it surroundeth the first commandment, and the 5 impressions and the great light, and the 5 helpers and the whole treasury of the light. And moreover, Jesus had not told his disciples the total expansion of all the regions of the great invisible, and of the 3 triple powers, and of the 24 invisibles, and all their regions and their eons and their orders, how they are extended, those which are the emanations of the great invisible, and their ungenerated and their self-generated, and their generated and their light givers, and their unpaired and their rulers, and their authorities and their lords, and their archangels and their angels, and their deacons and their servitors, and all the houses of their spheres, and all the orders of every one of them. And Jesus had not told his disciples the total expansion of the emanation of the treasury, nor their orders, how they are extended, nor had he told them their saviors, according to the order of every one, how they are, nor had he told them what guard is at every gate.
All right. This, if you really get deep into this, and I mean it is deep, and it is long, and it is very, very confusing. But as you listen to this, this is like a gigantic bureaucracy. That's all I can take out of this. And now he talks about the saviors and their orders and their gates, and as they come into their possession of the universe or of realms in the universe, I believe what happened here was this realm was supposed to change, and it didn't change. Something along that order. I mean, it was a bureaucratic struggle. It appears to me. Now, that doesn't take anything away from God or Jesus or any of the beliefs that anyone has, because if they're rooted and founded in love and peace and a desire for humanity to be human, to actually do the things that are spoken of in the 10 Commandments, if that's where you're at, I mean, I can't see you making any big mistake here, no matter who, if you call it Buddha or Jesus or God or Allah or whoever you want to call him. Somebody's in control of this whole thing. There's no way in the world I can possibly imagine any other scenario other than some form of creation. Now, then you say, oh, who created the creator? I don't know. I have no clue. You don't either. Nobody does. Only the creator knows that. And nobody was there before the creator to know what the creator came from. It's impossible. It's like saying the universe ends, but you can't get to that point where it ends. What happens at the end? Well, the end is the end. No, the end is not the end. What's after the end? What's after that wall that's at the end? You say, well, there's nothing. Well, there's got to be something, but if there's something, where does that end? You can't get to some places with the human mind. It's just impossible. These are divine realms. You just can't get there. So once you're here and you see that this is to me, there's no person alive that has a working neuron in their mind can say, this is just all accidental bumping into everything, and it just all happened. That is that's a true statement. But it's not true that it was all accidental. Everything after that is intelligent molecules. I don't care how you could put it together. They're quorums of molecules that work for the betterment of the entirety of that system, of that sub-entity, which is us. Our molecules are working together. Nobody's telling them what to do. They have to be working together. They have to be communicating. They have to have some way of responding back and forth to each other, just the way ants do. We look at them and say, well, why are they doing all that stuff? Well, they're ants. That's what they do. And that's what electrons and molecules do, and different elements. They know what you need, and you just do it. Now, if you put in a whole bunch of dirt and sand and nasty things into your body, and all these chemicals and frequencies that are just totally unnatural to God, God says, what are you doing this for? He said, well, people say they're scientists, they're smarter than you, so we can eat all this stuff, and it makes us feel good, and we just grow heavy, and then we get all sick and everything. And God said, I don't think so. I think you should eat off the ground. Eat the dirt that I put on the ground. We eat what grows in that dirt. Don't go coming out of a chemical factory and taking antibiotics and all that stuff. I mean, there's occasions you might need something like that, but your digestive system. I know I always go to this, but this is the problem with our entire society, digestive systems. It's as simple as that. And then once you get past that, you want to try to figure out how your eternity is going to play out, and that's what I'm working on now. So I don't mean to make a joke out of this stuff, but it's turning silly because nobody has, I mean, not nobody, yes, there's people that are paying attention, there's people that are interested, but I don't see anybody that really is taking the interest that you should be taking, because this is not something like some little accidental thing that's in your life that's just sort of an amusing little thing that comes along. No, this is a revelation to you that things are not the way they have been presented to you. So now either you stay with the way they've been presented and go about your life and enjoy and do what you're doing. That's okay, I have no problem with that. But I am showing you that there may be something different. Then it's up to you to do with that what you want. But this Pistis Sophia it really sheds light on so much. It's just absolutely astounding, because it happens. 12 saviors. It says that you gotta get deep into this until you get into the points where it talks about all of the deep details of the universe, and the saviors, and their regions, and their zones, and their branches, and their emanations, and their this and that, and it goes on for literally on and on and on. Here we are at 235, and you just heard he told them nothing so far. You can get way up to here, out here, and he still hasn't told them anything.
Total fullness. For Jesus had said to his disciples, that mystery surroundeth the universe, of which I have spoken unto you from the day when I met with you even unto this day. For this cause, then, the disciples thought there is nothing within that mystery. Chapter 2. Jesus and his disciples are seated on the Mount of Olives.
Now, here's where it comes
into the light. It came to pass, then, when the disciples were sitting together on the Mount of Olives, speaking of these words, and rejoicing in great joy, and exulting exceedingly, and saying one unto another, Blessed are we before all men who are on the earth, because the Saviour hath revealed this unto us, and we have received the fullness and the total completion. They said this to one another while Jesus sat a little removed from them. And it came to pass then, on the 15th day of the moon, in the month Tybi, which is the day of which the moon is full.
That's
on that day then, when the sun had come forth in his going, that there came forth behind him a great light power, shining most exceedingly. And there was no measure to the light conjoined with it. For it came out of the light of lights.
All right, this is where we're getting into the light and Moses glowing and all of the work we've been doing trying to understand light.
That came out of the last mystery, which is the 24th mystery, from within without, those which are in the orders of the second space of the first mystery. And that light power came down over Jesus and surrounded him entirely, while he was seated removed from his disciples. And he had shone most exceedingly, and there was no measure for the light which was on him. And the disciples had not seen Jesus because of the great light in which he was, or which was about him, for their eyes were darkened because of the great light in which he was. But they saw only the light, which shot forth many light rays, and the light rays were not like one another, but the light was of a diverse kind.
All right, I'm going to stop right there. Jesus turned into light, and the light rays shot out in a diverse kind. One greater than the other. Now, a diverse kind, what does that mean? It means like a rainbow. It means the different colors of light that we see. And eventually he goes right up through the air up into the skies.
And it was of divers type, from below upward, one ray more excellent than the other, in one great immeasurable glory of light. It stretched from under the earth right up to heaven. And when the disciples saw that light, they fell into great fear and great agitation. Chapter 3.
All right, you should really, if you're really interested in this, this is as deep as you will ever get into anything that is mysterious. Let me put it that way. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not going to say this is all true. I have no clue, but I see things in this that I can relate to other texts that I have read that were written virtually the same words and the same sort of theme. And all this about 12 saviors, and the zodiac has 12 regions, and the woman on the moon giving birth to the child that was a child of God, apparently, and she had 12 stars on the crowns on her head or something along those lines. 12, 12, 12, 12, 12 tribes, and there's something that they keep saying. I keep hearing that we were supposed to move into another realm in the zodiac, and the owners of the other realm said, no, we want to continue to hold power, but they are supposed to have they're supposed to come forth in their orders. It's something like that. It's just a gigantic bureaucracy. And if you listen to the beginning of this, how they say, he didn't tell them about this, and then they're servitors, and then they're deacons, and they're this and they're that. Now, I started to think a bureaucracy that we live in, if I said to somebody who had no clue about our lifestyle here in the United States, and I said to them, well, I never told them about the Congress or the Speaker of the House, and then I never told him about the Senate, and I never told him about the Senate pages or about the cabinet members, and I never spoke to him about the Foreign Relations Committee, and it would go on. I could go on for hours. It's gigantic bureaucracy, and that appears to be what is in the universe, because Jesus talks about the tyrants and the orders that they rule, and the 12, it goes on, I think it's about chapter 86 or maybe 186, I don't know, it's way out there, but it talks about the 12 saviors and how they own these realms and regions, and then the different mysteries within these realms and regions and branches and zones, and it's absolutely mind-boggling, but I think we were meant to try to understand this. I do. I don't know. This is for me. This is what I do. Do whatever you want. But if you want to really look into this, you're going to find it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. I guarantee you that. That I can positively guarantee it. But is it worth it? I don't know. I'm going to look into it. I enjoy it. So it's up to you. But I'm going to keep going deeper and deeper into this. I'll try to post here and there about it, but really what I'm wondering about is this Moses being, they claim he glowed, and this is Exodus. Moses' face shines. So and you hear all this. Everything is about light, because that's what we are supposed to become, is light. If you get out of this thing alive, you will become light. Otherwise, you're going to stay into this realm of material festering decay, and it's getting worse and worse by the day. And it does say that in here too. It says they're coming down, taking back the light power that was literally stolen. See, this is the thing. You got to get into Pistis and how she stole the light power from the 24, the 4 and 20. And did not take her paired partner and started her own realm outside of her authorities. And now this power is being taken back brought back to where it belongs, and the filth that she created is going to be all scooped up and burnt up. That's the way I'm taking it. Now, and it came to pass when Moses came down from the Mount Sinai with 2 tablets testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from that mount, Moses was not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. That Moses wished, okay, so he didn't want him to see his face was shining. So, and when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him. They wouldn't come near. Moses called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him, and Moses talked with them, and afterwards all the children of Israel came nigh, so they came close to him. And he gave them in commandment all that the Lord had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. Now, until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face, because apparently he was glowing like white lightning. Now, when Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he took the veil off, and until he came out and spake unto the children of Israel that which he has commanded. And the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone. And Moses put the veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with him. Now, then they try to make an understanding, the inner glory revealed. It says, and the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone, and Moses put a veil upon his face. That's in Exodus 34:35. Now, it's part of an old family story, but it will never grow tired of hearing it. And it goes on about, could it possibly be true? Well, everything I read about is light, and all of these touched people were light creatures. They had something to do with the ability to communicate with the particles. And that's the way I'm taking it. Now, Jesus could go around and say, here, I'm going to touch your eyes, I'm going to spit in your eyes, or something like this, put mud in your eyes, and you're going to be okay. You'll be able to see again. Now, how could he do that? Well, how, somehow those molecules that were in the guy's eyes had to be told what to do. So, you guys are messing up in here. Your little molecules go over here. You move over here. You get out of the way. And you move that way. You move this way. And now the guy can see. All right? Or somewhere along that line, those molecules were told to do something different than what they're doing. And I don't care how you say it or figure it. If he could go up and just go, blip, and they did it, somehow there was a communication going on. And another thing that proves there's communication going on between molecules is the Medusa effect on the Gorgon creatures. I'm going to show you that. All right, this is one of these giant statues that was a creature that was petrified by Gorgons. And they go, you say, it's crazy. No, it isn't crazy. It's true. And I'll show you the details that prove the biological anatomy that's in here, and you can see it is very clear with mud fossil eyes. It's absolutely unimpeachable. Now, this will also show that molecules this guy went pip, and he froze in position. There's another one hanging over, the one with the dragon, and that one was the same thing. There's a bunch of them like this. But let's look and see why I say this is a creature. You see this? You see the anatomy of that leg? You see the black over here, the red over here. That's the blood. You see this right here? You see that thing coming down? That is tendinous material that comes down right across the knee. That is how your leg works. That pulls your leg up and down. You see that? That's the structure of the flesh that surrounds the inner core of your leg. You see up above here in the shoulder? You see right up there? That's exactly the structure of the meat that's in your shoulder, the different muscles. This guy's face, the same thing. Now, they try to fix it, and so there's pieces of metal in here and concrete and so forth where they try to put it back together. I have pictures of it when it was original. He was holding up a big flower vase. They used to make these things into lawn sculptures and just freeze them. And they did it for fun. And Ovid, O-V-I-D, wrote a story, The Metamorphosis, and he talks about they deserved the thing they got. They looked at the Medusa's head. 200 of them were frozen in time. Well, I'm going to read it to you. First, remember this right here. You see that? That's the piece I want you to remember. That is the tendon, and of course there's the red muscle. There's absolutely no question. That's exactly the same structure, and that's where the red and the black of the blood goes, and the muscle, and there is that tendinous strap that runs down that gives you mobility.